Hi, thank you for joining me today. My name's Heather and this is Ajagara Yoga Snake Break Edition. This here is Jupiter and he will be my assistant instructor for the afternoon. Now, a few things before we get started that I would like to mention is that Jupiter isn't just a teaching assistant, he is also a beloved member of my family. So keeping that in mind, his safety and well-being are my number one priorities, even above my own. So I do have somebody off camera that is spotting to make sure that everything is good and that Jupiter is okay at all times. I would also like to mention that with animals being unpredictable, we may get a proper practice. We may get me chasing a snake around my dining room for who knows how long. We could get some very strange edits, or we may end up with just a shorter video if it appears that Jupiter is getting stressed out and we need to call it. Now, that being said, if you do want to do this as a proper practice in a more traditional manner, you can check out the link in the description below and it will take you to the version that does not have the snake in it and is done in a more normal fashion. So keeping all that in mind, let's get started. We're going to start out in either a half caterpillar or a half front fold, whatever you want to call it. Keep your leg here up towards your midsection. Your right leg is going to be straight out in front of you. If you're finding that there's too much pressure on the back of your knee there, you can always put a rolled up towel or a block for extra support. We are looking for our edge. We are not looking for an injury. So keep that in mind at all times. Just so I'm not falling off of the screen, I'm going to turn sideways on my mat. And let's get started. Take a deep exhale. Double check that your posture is okay. Your shoulders are not around your ears. And if you can, stretch a little deeper into this pose. Going to hold this for 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're just going to walk our hands back up so that we are sitting with a neutral spine again. And we are going to shift to the side. So our left leg will be in the same position. Our right leg will be sitting in a half split. And now we are going to lean over to the side. Now remember, keep your torso and your back straight. You want to pretend like there's a pane of glass on the front and the back, so you're leaning to the side, and you don't want your chest to lean into the mat. If it helps, you might even want to look up a little bit because that's a bit of a chest opener. And again, if you're finding tension in that knee area, feel free to use a rolled up blanket or a block or whatever you need to do to relieve some of that pressure. Breathe in, take a posture check, make sure you're not sinking into your mat with your chest. Keep things open, make sure that your back is straight, as close to parallel as possible with that leg, and keep your foot engaged as well too, to really work those muscles. Deep inhale, posture check. Exhale, see if you can bend any deeper into that stretch. I'm just going to hold this for 2 more cycles of breath. Do a last posture check. And see if we can stretch in a little bit more. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Walk your hand up the mat if you need to do it that way. But again, we are going to return to a neutral spine. So now that we're here, we are next going to do supported fish. So this one I might have to just cue it and then sit up for the couple of minutes while we hold it, depending on how much Jupiter wants to cooperate here. But what we are aiming for is put your 2 blocks in a T shape up at the top of your mat, and you're going to have your spine up at the top on this block to be supported. You don't want it to pinch, you don't want the block to be uncomfortable, it's just supporting your upper half. Now the lower half, your head here, is going to be supported because we don't want it just hanging down or back, and we don't want to try to have to hold it up the whole time either. So you want to kind of play with this block here so that it's more or less like a pillow for you, and it's not putting any stress on your neck. If your neck is feeling any kind of uncomfortable, move this block into a better position. Now let's see what Jupiter's going to do for me. I'm going to take him off of my shoulders, if he will allow me to do so. Jupiter. As we said, animals are unpredictable. So apparently blocks are his new best friend. All right, dude, come on. Come on. We're going to put this back. We're going to put this back. I have a feeling this is going to be fun. So we've got Jupiter. That's right, pal. Wrap around my leg. There you go. And although you do see him on my shoulders, he's not actually constricting or putting any pressure on my neck. I know it might look like that. And if you do want to find out more information about him, stick around after Shavasana, and I will give you some more details on him. In the meantime, I'm going to adjust this block so it's not digging in. I'm going to lean back. All right, here we go. And also too, don't forget to straighten your legs so you lay down. As you can see, that's not exactly possible with a snake raptor on my leg, but I'm doing my best. Take a deep inhale, do a posture check. Really all we need to do with this one is make sure that your shoulders haven't crept up to your ears. And you also want to bring your shoulder blades in so that they're kind of hugging that block and that your elbows are underneath you. You may also want to put your hands under your buttocks. Again, that's not really an option for me right now because of Jupiter. Deep inhale, posture check. Deep exhale. And we're just going to stay here for 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And good work, everybody. We can now come out of this pose. And now we get to do it all over again on the other side. So again, we are going to take our right leg this time, and we're going to have it in our middle section, or at least as close as I can get to it. And then I'm going to have my left leg flat straight, and Jupiter's going to keep helping me out here. I will now be folding forward along with the rest of you, and let's go as far forward as you can, whether that be your knee, your ankle, your foot. And remember that if you need to use a pillow, bolster, or block to support that knee, feel free. And that goes for this knee as well if it doesn't touch the ground and you feel uncomfortable. Deep inhale, posture check. Make sure that your shoulders are not at your ears. Exhale deeply. Try to get more into that stretch if you can. Push that edge. Deep inhale, posture check. Deep exhale. Try to push your edge a little bit further if it's within your practice. And just 2 more cycles of breath, and we can release this pose. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we can walk our hands back to bring ourselves back into a normal, neutral, seated position. And now we're just going to shift a little bit. So again, our right legs will still be bent up into our midsection, and our left leg will be out in a half split or half saddle. I am going to have a block nearby. The last time I did this pose, I actually kind of aggravated an old injury. So I'm just going to keep that close. And again, we want to have our chests and our backs as straight as possible. We're between those 2 panes of glass, and we want to keep our chests from sinking into the mat. We do not want to do that. Not in this particular stretch. And here we go. If it helps to keep your back straight, you can bring your right hand into a back bind. You might also want to put it like this, but I find circulation is a little bit of an issue in these longer holds. So I find just kind of getting it out of your hand out of the way like this opens the chest, and it also gives you something to do with your hand, other than possibly having to chase a snake in a second. And while we're on that topic, inhale deeply, do a posture check, make sure that your back is nice and straight and you're not sinking down into your mat. And exhale deeply. Inhale deeply, do a posture check. Be really aware of where your back and spine is positioned. And on the exhale, see if you can get a little deeper into that stretch if it's possible. Come back here, you. And we're just going to hold this for 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to slowly slide up your leg or walk up your mat, whatever's easier for you. And we're going to sit back up in a nice neutral spine position. Bring your leg in. You might want to do a little bit of a windshield wiper just to kind of work out the kinks. And now we're going to go into a supported bridge. Again, depending on how Jupiter decides to behave, I may have to sit it out and just count down the cues. But we'll see what happens. He was a good boy for fish, so we'll see if he's a good boy for bridge. Okay, actually, if he stays right here, we're on to something. Okay, so now that I've said that, he's not going to stay right there. All right, so what we're going to do for supported bridge is take either 1 block or 2 blocks, depending on your level of flexibility and your back level. If you're finding that the blocks are too intense, feel free to use a pillow, a bolster, or our good old rolled up towel or blanket for a bit of a lift, but not a strain or a major stretch. Come back here, you. All right, so once we have that positioned, we're just going to lean back. And again, you want those props to be right where your lower back meets where your bum starts for the support that you need. And again, make sure that those blocks aren't pinching or straining or putting any kind of uncomfort on your back while you do this. We're going to lean back. If you're not able to reach all the way to the floor, again, feel free to grab a bolster or a block or something to support your head so it's a less intense stretch. And then just like fish, we are going to straighten our legs as much as we possibly can while we have a snake wrapped around our leg. And oh, by the way, if you have a snake of your own, feel free to play along with me. All right, and here we go. Deep inhale. There's not really much to do with the posture check here, as this is a more passive stretch. And exhale. And we're just going to hold this for 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the best way to get out of this pose is to just walk your feet up towards your blocks as close as you can get. Maybe if your ankles can touch your toes, that's even better. Now you're just going to lift your pelvis a little bit, just enough so that you're off of your prop. And then you're going to pull your props out. And then we can sink back down into the floor. Now let's just lay here for a second and let our backs just kind of decompress. All right, now we're going to get back up in whichever method is the easiest for you. All right, so next position we're going to do, I recommend sitting on a block 4 if you don't have the flexibility. It can be hard on your knees if it's not a position that you have built up to. Along that line, if you're finding a lot of stress in your knees for this position, feel free to adjust it. Feel free to put whatever props you need to under your knees. If you want to have one leg straight instead of having them both bent, that's an option. The other thing that you can also do if this posture is completely uncomfortable for you is a 90-90 split. I'm going to stay on the brick to do it because I'm already here. But what you would just do for that would be to have one leg so that the shin is parallel with the top of your mat and your foot is parallel with the side of your mat. And then you're going to straighten the other leg so that, again, this shin is parallel with the side of your mat, and your foot, try to flex it so that it is parallel with the bottom of your mat. So either of those will do the same thing. When we get to the 1.5 minute mark, this will be a 3-minute hold. I will cue you to switch legs for those of you who have chosen either the 90-90 or to only have one leg bent at a time. And if you need a second block, that's okay as well, but I find that's a lot more difficult on your back. So you probably just want the one, or something to just give you a gentle lift to take the pressure off of your knees. Now for this, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this. Jupiter, I need you to move your foot, your tail up there. Okay, so this might be another one that I'm going to have to just sit and cue. We'll see how he behaves. So we're going to have our one. You can see my one leg like this is already bent behind me. We're going to do the same thing with the other foot. If you have to kind of sit on your knees and then crouch down, that's probably the easiest way to get there. And because of the brick, I'm not actually sitting on Jupiter. He has lots of room underneath my legs, but I will be conscious of not squashing him while we do this. So I'm going to move that block a little bit further back. I find the best place is to have that block more towards the back, so you still have your pelvis on it, but it's also supporting your back a little bit as well. And we're going to lean back. Ideally, if you can get your head to the mat, that's what you're aiming for. If not, again, blanket, bolster, block, whatever works best for you. For myself, what I like to do is rest on my forearms and then just put the block behind my head. Just using the mat here or the camera here to see where that block is. Like this. And again, you want to have that, if you're using a block like this, make sure to have it supported so that you're not putting any pressure on your neck. And keep your shoulders away from your ears. Take a deep inhale. Check your shoulders to your ears. For those of you that are either stretching the one leg or doing the 90-90 position, switch your legs at this point as well. And we're going to stay here for 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly rise up. I find it helps to either put my elbows or my hands behind me and push to get out of this position. Now, depending on how your knees are, you may want to put a block, bolster, towel, whatever, under your knees for this position. You may also want to stay on a block the way that I am. Normally I would not be using the block myself, but because Jupiter seems to be hugging it, it doesn't look like I have an option at this point. So I'm going to be sitting on the block, and I'm going to be moving into a butterfly pose, which I'm going to see if I can do it from the other side so I'm not falling off the camera. All right, Jupiter, are you going to let me do this? We're good. Okay. So we're going to get into a butterfly pose, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with. One foot there, the other foot like this. So your feet are doing one of these. And put it down. Now you can either, you have a couple options here. Either you can grab your toes. You can walk your hands forward, so that prostrate position that we get in child's pose. Or the other option that we can use, I'm falling off of my block here, is you can put your feet together like your normal butterfly. You can thread your hands under your knees and then grab your toes that way and use that as a stretch. As I have a snake to watch out for, I will not be using this pose because I can't really keep an eye on them. But whichever one of those 3 works for you is a good option. Come on, Jupes. Here, stick around my foot. And go ahead and start. I'm wrestling with the snake, and where the counter is starting for whichever your chosen position is. Deep inhale, posture check. Make sure there's not too much strain on your knees. Say it with me, class. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale. If you're able to, sink deeper into that stretch to find a more intense edge. Remember, if it hurts, pull back. We're not chasing injuries. Inhale deeply, posture check. Exhale deeply, see if you can sink even further in. And we're just going to stay here for another 2 cycles of breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5. Walk your hands back up or untangle yourself, whatever you need to do. And then we're just going to sit up back to a neutral spine. And feel free to do a little bit of a cat-cow just to work out any kinks that you may have developed. And to reward ourselves for that, we're going to do a nice back stretch because we've really been working our back and our legs really hard. So to do that, we're first off going to wrestle the block away from the snake. And we're just going to put those over here. Right, and we're just going to move down a little bit down the mat. Come on, Jupes. Jupiter, come on. All right. And I know sometimes you might be hearing a little bit of a hiss coming through on the camera. He's not hissing. It's just his belly scales going against the cork of my mat. I'm sure most of you have noticed the same thing when you shuffle yourself up and down a mat. So it's no different than with him. So for this, I need him to be sitting on my lap, ideally. Come on, buddy. He's 13 pounds, and when he decides to want to be dead weight, that's exactly what he is. So, all right, so we have him here, and what we're going to do is untangle him from my mat, untangle him from me. It might be a second here. Bear with me. Oh, shush. All right, so come on, buddy, we're almost done. And that goes for you too. We're almost done. So what we're going to do is, keeping an eye on where his head is, we're just going to reach our arms out in a T position, and we are going to, I'm going to start it on my right side, even though that's away from the camera, just because of where he is. But we're going to lean our legs all the way over to the floor if we possibly can. If it's comfortable for you, or at least not painful, your head's going to go in the direction opposite where your legs are, so like that. And if you want a more intense stretch in your legs, then take this leg. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. So yeah, if you want a little bit more of an intense stretch, take the arm that is not where your head is facing away from, and feel free to push it down a bit into the floor to really get a good extra stretch. Pull your legs up towards your chest as high as you possibly can to maximize that stretch. If your bottom leg doesn't make it all the way, or if you're finding it's kind of tight in the opposite shoulder, again, towel, blanket, blocks, whatever is necessary. And apparently my cat, who's locked in the other room, is kind of jealous right now. I can hear him crying. All right, so we're going to start in this direction for me because of, where is Jupiter? There he is. Oh, I'm totally wrapped now. So, all right, this is the one I might have to cue. This is the one I was the least worried about. So I'm going to make a token effort at being in this position. But Yeah, you can see basically what I'm doing, even though I'm not really getting much of a stretch myself. And I know that my head was in the wrong direction for part of this. Oh, wait a second. No, my head's in the wrong direction for a bit there because I'm keeping an eye on what the snake is doing. All right, and adjust, and we're going to switch sides. Oh, are you going to let me have one, Jupiter? I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so we're going to unfold. We're going to put our feet and pelvis and knees and everything in a nice neutral position on the mat. And then we are going to straighten our legs to the best of our ability and aim for your heels towards the edge of the mat if you're able to, or hip width apart, whatever makes more sense. Palms towards the ceiling, and we are now in Shavasana. And it looks like I'm using a block for my head to avoid squashing the snake. Do the same if you need to for any neck injuries. Some people also like to have something underneath their knees as well. And remember, if you're curious about Jupiter, hang out after Shavasana and I'll give you some details on them. When you are ready, bring awareness to your toes. Give them a little wiggle. Feel that they are there. Move your awareness up to your fingertips. Wiggle them as well. Be aware that they are there. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. If you have more time for Shavasana right now, feel free to take as long as you would like. I'll give a quick second if you need to hit the pause button, and otherwise I will be showing off Jupiter. So, for those of you who have decided to stick around and meet my teaching assistant, get comfortable, whatever works for you, easy pose, kneeling, but I don't have to tell you how to get comfortable. So this is Jupiter. He is a 9-year-old male Boa Imperator. He's full grown. He's not going to get any bigger than this. And well, technically boas do grow through their entire lives, but he's not going to get noticeably bigger than this. I've had him for about 5 years now. As you can tell, he's very friendly. He's very docile. This is his normal temperament. We actually got that entire video on one shot. I didn't have to edit for him at all. So that really goes to show you just how friendly and docile these animals are. So his color type is what they call hypo. So basically he does not have the full pigment that a normal boa constrictor would have, but he's not an albino either. He is, however, getting into my shirt. So yeah, I've had him for 5 years. He was my first snake. My husband and I have had reptiles in the house ever since we moved in together. When we first moved in, my husband came complete with a Burmese python. So that's been kind of our history with animals. However, all of the animals that we have had in the past have always been my husband's reptiles, but I had a very active interest in them. Jupiter was the first snake that was my snake. So he's very, very special to me, both as the fact that he's my pet and my animal, but he's, like I said, he was my first snake that was my snake. But yeah, apparently I'm told that before I got him, his name was Tiny. Like I said, we named it to Jupiter. You'll notice as you get to meet my other family members that they've all got deity or planetary names. And let's see, what else can I say about him? He's about 13 pounds. He loves kids. Whenever we like to take him out to the park and for walks and that kind of thing. And he tends to gather a crowd, and he just absolutely adores the attention. He's got the kind of temperament that educational programs just absolutely dream of to get in their animals. So he's really good like that. Let's see. He eats jumbo rats once every 6 weeks. Let's see. He's a big fan of the TV show Hoarders. He considers it to be places to hide TV. He considers it to be a educational documentary. Other than that, I think that's about most of what needs to be said. If you do have any other questions or comments about him, feel free to ask below, and I will answer as many as I can. I will be switching out my teaching assistants as the videos progress. I do have a number of family members, and hopefully you'll get to meet all of them eventually. And in the meantime, have a terrific day. Thank you again for joining me. Like I said, if you want to do this practice with me cueing it and not forgetting cues and my counting being a little off, feel free to see the link below to do the practice as a more traditional way, as opposed to this just being kind of silly. Have a great afternoon. Namaste, and thank you for sharing your energy.